Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I've got 1 o'clock on the dot Central Time, so I want to get started here. We've got a lot of great content to go through. So my name is Brett Fritz. I want to thank you for joining our webinar today. This webinar is hosted by Tackle AI, and we are really excited to be introducing Tackle Vision, which we believe is a replacement to traditional OCR. A couple quick housekeeping items. All attendees will be in listen-only mode. And so if you do have a question or a concern, I'm going to be your moderator today. So you can go ahead and put it in the chat box and we can address things through that venue. This webinar is being recorded for later viewing. So afterwards, if you have to jump out or if one of your colleagues was not able to make it, we will be recording this and hosting it on our YouTube channel. And please submit questions in the chat box. We should have some time at the end of the session to go through those questions appropriately. And if we don't get to all the questions this time around, we will be answering them all individually as well. So I wanted to introduce my speakers today. So I've got two great speakers. Sergio Suarez is Sergio Suarez Jr. is the founder and CTO of Tackle AI, and he's joined by Mark Dabler. Sergio, I want to hand it over to you. Please go ahead and say hello, introduce Mark, and then I'm gonna let you guys dig right into the content. So take it away,
Awesome.
Sergio.
Thanks, Brett. So, hey everyone, Sergio, I'm the founder and CTO here at Tackle AI, and I'd like to introduce Mark. Mark's been heading up our computer vision and Tackle Vision project. We're really excited to have him. He does some amazing things with us that I end up getting to take credit for. So I'm very excited to have him on board. Mark, if you could just give us a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Mark, and as Sergio alluded to, I'm running the Tackle Vision project for Tackle AI, and I'm just really excited to show off what we've been making.
Yeah, I agree. I think where a lot of this comes from, right? When we're going through the hiring process with you, a lot of it just came with, hey, I have this crazy idea, Mark. Like, how do we replace OCR? You know, how do we not have to do this? Not having to use these big tech giants, you know, who move so slowly. I'm like, it's a real issue with what we do. You know, when we're discovering data in documents, that seems to always be the thing that slows us down, or where there's the most errors, or the things that cause us the most heartache. You know,
Right.
So I remember having that conversation with you and just giving you like, hey, here's some ideas, and then we started to go back and forth, and you gave me, you know, hey, what if we did this? And we kind of really hit it off with that, and you know, very much liked your creativity. And I think that if you could, for everyone, maybe you could give us, you know, a little bit of what are the shortcomings with right now the traditional OCR or ICR, and maybe you can explain even what that is first, and then tell us, you know, why we're doing what we're doing.
Right. Yeah, I would be happy to. So what OCR is and ICR. So OCR stands for optical character recognition. And essentially, it's the way that a computer reads text on a document, an image, something like that. And so, as Sergio was saying, yeah, one of our, I think actually, yeah, our first conversation was just all about this idea of replacing traditional OCR. And so, why would we want to do such a thing? So, really, some of the ways that OCR works is you have to kind of match the text to something that you already know. So for instance, like you need to know like certain fonts, or you need to figure out what the size of the font is, and you have to do some zoning, like you're saying, like in this specific area, it's most likely going to be this or that, right? And when you get into OCR and like trying to recognize these individual characters, one stat that really stands out to me is even if traditional OCR engine can get 98% character recognition, it's going to fail at reading the entire word like 20-30% of the time. So really you can boast as an OCR engine like, yeah, we can get 98% accuracy, but when you peel that back and like look at how usable it is, you're really getting like 70% accuracy sometimes, and that's just not cutting it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know that it's been a huge pain point for us, and it was for a long time, until you kind of started to work on this project with Tackle Vision. And it was, how do we do this, right? And how do we implement something that is next generation, that isn't doing the same thing that's been done for the last 40 years? I think that because we're a smaller company, we're a lot more agile, and I think that we've been able to do things much faster, with
Right.
less bureaucracy. And maybe you can kind of go into, what is Tackle Vision, right? What exactly are we doing here? And so that everybody knows, we were actually going to be demoing. And I know that I don't like to use the word demo, because
Yeah.
it's actually going to be it's going to be the actual AI running, and we're going to run documents live for you guys, and you guys get to see Tackle Vision at work. But perhaps first you can tell us a little bit about what Tackle Vision is, Mark.
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to. So I think what Tackle Vision started out to be was what we've just kind of said, right? Originally, Tackle Vision was supposed to be a replacement to traditional OCR. And what I love about this project is, in the short few months that we've really been working at this, it's evolved into something so much more. So you're going to see some really good examples, as Sergio said, in our coming demo. But like the things that we're stretching to be able to do, such as being able to read signatures, whether something is signed or not, reading if something is stamped or not, and what are the contents of that stamp. Some large shortcomings of traditional OCR is there's no way that those OCR systems could pick up, let alone pick up whether there is a stamp or a signature, but wouldn't be able to read it, right? And so Tackle Vision really is taking it to the next level by being able to do all of these extra things outside of just OCR to allow us to really, really peel back the layers of data discovery on these documents.
Yeah, no, that's I like to bring up to people a lot is we have this Tackle Vision that's mixed in with a lot of the stuff that we've had at Tackle AI for a long time. Like we've always been good at finding information on documents, especially documents we've never seen before. And that's really what our strength is. And even with what you're doing within Tackle Vision, we're doing this to documents we haven't seen before. So
Right.
it's not these documents that we have to learn them and we're going to teach a model, hey, this is what this document looks like and here's where the information is. We go through it and people just send us random prescriptions and random CT scans and MRIs and all kinds of things that we've never seen before. But we still pull out the data. We use Tackle Vision to find stuff like you've mentioned before, to find the logos and figure out, hey, there's a stamp here, and we can get into all that fun stuff when you demo and you show Tackle Vision doing what it does. Perhaps you can fire that up now, Mark.
Yeah, sure.
Let's
I can
show
definitely do
off
that.
what we got.
We'll go on over. So it looks like we've got a few that have come through that we can run through. We can start with this guy here.
Cool.
All right. So essentially, Tackle Vision right now, some of the key things that it's capable of is being able to detect signatures, detect stamps, and then there's a more complicated project that we're working on with Mocha forms, which we'll get to here in a second. But that really involves a lot of basically every facet of what Tackle AI is good at, all in one. So what we have here is just a looks like a loan, some sort of financial document. And what we're able to do is see here that there is a signature, and our Tackle Vision AI is able to go ahead and give us back the signature here.
I like it. Yeah.
We did have a question come in that I'll go ahead and ask now while
Sure.
you guys are pulling up the demo. You defined what OCR means, but someone asked what ICR is. Can you define that?
Yeah. So ICR, it's So there's been a whole thing about that. And a lot of times what people will reference with that is being able to read handwriting, right? And that's one of the things that I don't like to say that we do, even though in what you're going to see, we actually read handwriting. But I don't like to say that because I don't feel like it comes off as a full truth. Because I think when people hear ICR, like, hey, we're reading handwriting, people expect just random handwriting to be read by a computer. And that's not what happens. I'm sure that a lot of times you guys have like filled out like government forms, and we deal with a lot of that because we have some stuff with the Department of Defense. But you'll see that there's little boxes, and then you write a letter in the box, and you kind of go on, and that very much narrows down the possibilities of what something could be. So if I know that in this box and in this box, there's going to be a letter, one of 27 letters, makes it really easy to figure out what's supposed to be there. Random handwriting on some page is a lot more difficult because it could be anything. And we deal a lot in healthcare. So we're not going to be able to just read doctor's handwriting that, from prescriptions coming from, all over the place. So with ICR, with random handwriting, the accuracy right now is like 40%. But when you know where things are supposed to be, and you can limit, what is going to be written, all of a sudden we're insanely good at doing this. So I think that, and you'll actually see that with the Mocha forms, they're all actually handwritten.
Yeah.
And we're able to go through, and our accuracy is like through the roof with that, which is really cool.
Well, thank you for that question, Brett. I was able to get everything uploaded for us, so we can actually continue on with the demo.
Yes.
So again, we saw this one. This document here. This one has a bunch of handwriting all over the place, and what we've seen before is it's going to be really hard for a computer vision model to be able to detect that this top part is just regular handwriting and doesn't correspond to a signature, or at the very bottom of the document where the actual signature is supposed to be. That's what our Tackle Vision AI is able to pick out.
Yeah, I think, and so a lot of times if you guys see like, it says attorney information, like that looks like the company name would be a signature. Mm-hmm. And again, what's really difficult to pick out is if you just knew, hey, whatever's handwriting, right, ahead of time, if you're like, hey, anything that's handwriting could be a signature, it becomes really easy. It becomes really hard when there's handwriting all over the document, and you have to figure out which one of all these things that are handwritten are the actual signature. And that's one of the things that with Tackle Vision, we've become insanely accurate at differentiate.
I remember seeing it for the first time, and I was like, I don't even know how to tell the difference. But yeah, some of them look the same. But yeah, so we're just going to keep going through a few examples here. Again, we have some handwriting at the top of the document, but if we move on to the bottom, this document actually has multiple signatures, and we're able to report that back and accurately pick out where the signatures are on the page.
And by the way, this is really important, guys, like for us in with financial documents, and especially in healthcare as well. We got to make sure that a doctor signed off on something. When it comes to loan documents, for example, with mortgage documents, we have to make sure that these documents are signed before we give the okay. And we had actually some really interesting, and it really showcases how it's not just a computer vision problem, where our AI was so good. We got some documents in German, and we were trying to find the signatures, and we picked some up, and I remember there's like 5 or 6 of us looking at them, and we're like, hey, yeah, those look like signatures. Yeah, great job. And then one of our guys actually speaks German. He's like, that says initial here. So
Right.
from a computer vision standpoint, as a human using my vision, I was like, oh yeah, look at those 2 signatures. And that's why it's more than just, computer vision models. There's a lot more logic involved in being able to find this stuff.
Yeah, well said. That is always a good story.
Yeah.
We this is the one that we saw in the beginning, just a very clean document with a signature at the bottom. And if we keep on moving through them, this one this is the most signatures that we've seen in the demo so far, and we're able to very easily pick each one up individually.
Nice.
Now, this next one is really interesting because, as we kind of talked about prior to launching the program here, is that some things that Tackle Vision is really good at right now would be signature detection and reading these stamps that you see at the top here. So, for some of our clients, they have different stamps that depict a date, and it's really important for that to be identified whenever it's present. So not only are we able to pick up these two signatures at the bottom, but we're also able to pick up this stamp towards the top of the page. And taking that one step further, we're actually able to spit back what the date is, right?
Yep.
And so when we're talking about like shortcomings of traditional OCR, we've run this through some traditional OCR engines, and none of them have been able to pick this up. But with Tackle Vision, it's real straightforward and easy to pick something like this up.
And a really good point to make here is it's really easy to identify stamps if you know they're supposed to be a stamp, right? And this is really important because with this particular client, about 1 out of every 80 of their documents has these weird stamps on them.
Right.
So it's really easy to write probability and write math that says, hey, this document is supposed to have a stamp. Find whatever image on this document is most likely the stamp. And that's really easy. What's really hard is there may or may not be a stamp. Also, don't
Right.
ever miss the stamp because it's really important. So, and I think that's what we've really achieved here. And we're able to do it and still run our documents as fast as 1/10 of a second when we're processing these things. So, it's a big kind of thing. We built this interface to be able to show to people because mostly all this stuff just happens in the background. We just start populating people's either electronic EHRs and EMRs, or we end up populating other people's software so that we're automating everything. But we're hoping this visualization is a better representation of here's what Tackle Vision is actually doing. Oh, this one's awesome.
Yeah, this one's really great, right? So from just a computer standpoint, like if you're trying to teach it how to recognize signatures, we didn't like show it documents beforehand that recognize signatures upside down, right? But where Tackle Vision is able to recognize that this upside down signature is in fact a signature, and I think that's a good point to even make with another kind of shortcoming of traditional OCR when it comes to OCR where it's good. Traditional OCR, you've got if you've got a really clean document, a typical font, no lines, no tables, it's probably going to do pretty good. But not only will it fail, with a less clean document, but it's going to fail to recognize any sort of upside down characters if in the document the rest of the document it's not skewed, it's not upside down. And you'll see with a few of the stamp examples that we have in here, you'll see that there's like lines through them or they're skewed, but the rest of the document isn't skewed. So there's just a lot that goes into the background of Tackle Vision to make all this possible. This one again is a bunch of signatures that we're able to identify along with the stamp, and we're able to figure out what the data is correctly.
Yep. And again, this is what's really cool about this, guys. Nothing you're seeing here is us using OCR. This is all purely Tackle Vision, figuring everything out on its own.
Now we've got another one here with tons and tons of handwriting. This person's handwriting definitely does look a bit more like a signature, right? So if we're looking at this, why is this top part not a signature? Why is this not a signature, right? Well, our Tackle Vision AI is able to pick out that this indeed is the only signature on the page.
Maybe start with stamp 3. Mark?
Stamp
Because I don't
3.
know. Yeah, because
Yeah,
one is
you are right. Yeah, stamp 3 is a good one just to kind of like introduce what the stamps can do. So you already kind of, I guess you kind of already saw a couple stamp examples, but this one in particular, this client, a lot of the stamps come in this way where there's lines through them. They're pretty low quality, and our OCR, sorry, our Tackle Vision AI is able to pick up the stamp, location, and the actual date itself.
yeah. In this example too, OCR is terrible when there's like lines going through your
Yeah,
stuff. It's bad when things are inside of a grid. Um, it's also very bad when things are in color, right? So when you get something like red, OCR really doesn't like that kind of stuff, and we have no issues with this. Um, this is a really good example of just how much our the way that we're approaching this and the way that we're attacking this issue is just so much better than what's out there right now.
yeah, definitely. Well said. So then we're going to go to this guy. So this example really showcases another large differentiator of Tackle Vision. So if you look at the top right here, we're able to see the location of the stamp, but then we're also printing out the date as July none 2019. So what's going on here is, and Sergio always tells me this. He always says, just don't be wrong. It's okay if you don't know. You just can't be wrong,
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot of cases with our clients where, if we don't know for 100% that that date is this specific date, then we're just going to report back that we don't know and we need someone to look at it.
Yeah, and as you can guys see, like we actually as humans don't know what that date is. The fact that it even picked up that it was July is ridiculously impressive.
Right.
It picks up to 2019, but we don't know the exact date. So we just toss it off to a human, and they can go figure it out. With this particular client, when it comes to finding these stamps and things like that, we're doing like 97% of any of the stamps that we see. We're able to find on our own. We're able to be sure that we're looking at this particular date. 3% of them have to be done by humans, or it's simply illegible. Nobody can read what it says. So it's still, I think for us, but our accuracy is really where it's at, right? Because when people are, well, how accurate are you? This is a really good example of, I don't count this as being wrong. We didn't know what that middle date
Right.
was. What we don't want to ever do is give you incorrect information. And that's what Tackle Vision is really going to, and Tackle AI in general. We always give you what we feel is not just the most probable, but almost certain. So even though, so that in this case would be 97% of all the stamps that we see, and for 3% it's end up getting kicked back. But we do show you so that a human can just go and figure out what the date is.
Right. And then this next example is also kind of another thing that makes us different from other solutions out there, right? So this specific example does not have one of those stamps on it, and so nothing's being reported, which is a great thing because for this specific client, maybe 1 out of 100 of these documents actually has a stamp on it, and that stamp is super super important to capture, but we um, we don't know which document's going to be on there, right? And Sergio already kind of talked about this. Like if you know that a document's going to have a stamp or a signature or something, it's pretty easy to write something to just find uh, that location on that page, the highest probability of it looking like the stamp or the signature. But with these, we can't have that luxury, but we're able to differentiate between something that has nothing that we're looking for versus something that does.
Yeah.
And then it looks like we have one more stamp example. This one's a pretty good example, I think, of showcasing just there's absolutely no way that a traditional OCR system is going to pick that up. The quality is too low, it's too skewed, but our Tackle Vision solution has no problem picking up the location and the actual date.
Yeah, this is a really strong one, especially because there's things that it's touching. The 9 is touching that line. The word date is touching some of the numbers.
Hmm.
So I mean, this doesn't really stand a chance with the other ways that things are done.
Right. And that's going to actually bring us to my favorite part of this whole presentation, these Mocha documents. So these are kind of a different beast in of itself, and I'm really excited to showcase what Tackle Vision can do here. So a super quick rundown of what a Mocha form is and what we're looking at here. So a Mocha form is essentially a cognitive assessment that's given to a patient by a healthcare professional. And then our task is to go ahead and look at these different markings and add up the different totals for each row and validate that what's on this document is truly what it should be. So you'll
This
see
is where
these.
we get to this is where we get to show off that we can read handwriting. You
Yeah,
know,
right,
we
exactly.
can read all kinds of numbers.
That's right. That's right. So essentially what we're doing is we're looking in these brackets for a correct or incorrect marking. So a correct marking would be like a 1, a check mark, an X, and then an incorrect marking would be a blank or a 0. And so you've got the green check mark indicating that Tackle Vision says that this is a correct marking, then this X indicating that this is an incorrect marking, and then along the side and through here, you'll see different markings for the numbers that Tackle Vision is looking at. So this document, it's pretty clean, but you can see that in this first line, there's 4 correct, the number 4 here. And so our Tackle Vision is saying that for this row, the answer, the total is 4. So we're able to automate the whole process of validating and looking at these documents. We can do this in under a second, where you can imagine looking at this becomes tedious, especially when we're processing what, Sergio, thousands.
Thousands, yeah.
Yeah.
We
So
process thousands of these guys.
yeah.
What we want to do now, Mark, is I think maybe get into what the future of Tackle Vision is. You know, in my eyes, it's still relatively new.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that's kind of different to us is this isn't an academic thing.
Hmm.
Tackle Vision is out there and it's generating revenue already. It's you know, we're already getting rid of OCR and a lot of the things that we were doing with some of our clients. I guess for you, what do you see as the future of what we're doing with Tackle Vision? Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think my answer to that is I know for sure I'm the most excited for utilizing Tackle Vision within the medical space, specifically medical imaging. And I think you hit it the nail on the head there with we're trying to bridge the gap between the academic and what's really possible. And so I've seen so many academic approaches to medical imaging with similar approaches to what we're doing, but we're taking it the next step. We can actually deploy this. We can actually use this in many medical imaging cases. And so I think I would love to see us get more into that. I think
Yeah,
that's definitely one of the next steps we're going. What about you?
I've loved the marriage of our I don't say regular, but like some of our older AI, right? Our AI
Mm,
that's been used for the data discovery for so long, and mix it with the stuff with Tackle Vision, and like
right.
what's coming out of that is insane, right? Like um, the combination of different neural networks, deep learning models, rules based engines, and kind of combining them all into this one awesome solution that's garnering these amazing results, I think has been awesome. So I've
Yeah.
liked kind of having all our people who have their specialty and then being able to blend it together has been really cool. I think that one of the things that I'm obvious for me the most excited is the next 8 to 12 months being able to eliminate OCR altogether. I
Yeah.
think being able to use our approach, our very much more mathematical approach to what we're doing with OCR. We're not just throwing a bunch of models at this thing and being like, hey, please learn,
Yeah.
which I've kind of seen from other people. There's a whole blend of stuff together. I think another exciting thing for me with Tackle Vision is branching outside of documents, right? We've always worked with
Right.
documents and images, and right now we have a project that I think is going to make us cool with with memorabilia, and
Yep.
baseball cards and football cards and things like that. And it's a good change of pace for us, and it really showcases, what Tackle Vision's all about, right? We've always looked at it in one way, and I like other people's perspective. Well, hey, if you're doing it with that, can't you do it with this? I'm like,
Right.
yeah, we can. And so that project's already kicked off, and we're trying to teach the concept of baseball cards and the concept of those things instead of here, memorize this card, right? Like,
Right.
because there's millions and millions of them. So it would be kind of silly to just be, you try to memorize them all and it would run slowly. It's not what we're about. So instead we're
Right.
like, figure out what this is, just like a human would look at it and figure out what it is. And that's been a really, really cool project. And I'm excited to be able to showcase that off as well.
Yeah,
Show a
definitely.
different side of us, which I think will be very exciting.
The
Um,
cooler side. The cooler side.
yeah, it's the
We
cool. I
are,
feel like
we're,
it's,
yeah, I
yeah, I
like it.
think people, I mean, it's weird because a lot of times when we're showing off, we're showing medical documents that, we've sanitized and stuff like
Right.
that. And like, oh, look at these immunizations and look at these,
Right. Yeah.
um,
It's more
uh,
yeah.
yeah,
To
yeah,
show
yeah.
that
But,
off. Yeah.
now I can actually tell my friends what I do for a living, though
Right.
you ever just want to put your phone over a baseball card and know what it's worth? Yeah, I do that. So I guess Brett, uh, maybe you can hop in here, and I know there's usually some questions we try to go through at the end.
Yeah, no, thanks, guys. I'll start with a comment. Really enjoyed the discussion you guys had here. And Sergio, I know our tagline is the logical solution, but at the same time, a motto that you've instilled throughout the company, and it's on everyone's T-shirt as well, is to attempt the absurd and solve the impossible. And I think that was the underlining theme here that I've heard, right, with Tackle Vision is replacing OCR is in many cases historically been considered impossible. And I think that now you're proving that we're doing that, right? So I'm really excited for the future of what Tackle Vision is going to do for the industry as a whole. So thanks, guys. We do have a couple questions that came in. So let me start with this first one. I think this is relevant. Tackle Vision, does it run locally on someone's server? Does it sit in the cloud? Where does it integrate into a client's ecosystem of tech?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We try to push everybody towards letting us run our stuff on our servers. So, we have servers built to do this. So, we have GPUs. We basically that's basically all that they do. So if we try to install on other people's servers, they're usually not calibrated to do everything that we're doing. However, we understand that we have big projects with the Department of Defense, with different branches, and we understand that they don't like their stuff on our servers. So we end up talking, and we do get proper hardware installed in people's locations, and we do run behind other people's firewall. We just think that you'll get the most and the quickest responses if you just call an API and get your answers.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So follow-up question to this that I think is complementary to it.
Right.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Guys?
I can hear you.
Sergio,
No,
can you hear me?
actually, I can't hear anybody.
Uh-oh. Mark, you can hear me though?
Yeah, I can take the question for you, Brett.
Okay, so a question complimentary that came into it was when a new client gets onboarded with Tackle AI, are there a lot of resources needed? Do you need a full team managing this relationship? What's needed from a resource perspective?
Yeah, sure. So I think a good way to try to put this in perspective is we try to make it as easy for you as possible. One thing that really makes us stand out is you're not going to have to learn a whole new suite of softwares, programs. You're not going to have to completely change how you collect your data or your documents. Our goal is to seamlessly fit into your existing ecosystem um, without a lot of overhead. So you're not going to need a team of 5 to 10 people to get this thing working. We're trying to make it as easy and seamless as possible.
No, for sure.
Perfect.
I think the
Perfect.
other thing too is because everything we write is always very universal. We don't really write for specific use cases. A lot of times, right out of the box, you're able to start using, stuff like Tackle Vision and stuff with us with like a Tackle AI. So it also makes a lot of this stuff much easier. We're not zoning your documents. When you
Right.
guys see what we do, we're doing it from documents that haven't been seen before. We've seen other documents, and then we use, things that we've learned from, other banks or from other whatever, and we're able to then apply that to completely different documents. So it makes a lot of that, upfront load, much workload a lot less.
Yeah.
Yeah. So guys, here's one. This is more maybe just a comment and a question. So first is just a comment. We've got some attendees that are calling in from outside of the United States where we're located. So do you want to talk about how available Tackle AI and Tackle Vision are to businesses and organizations outside of the U.S.? How global can this solution go?
No, we already have plans. A lot of what we do, like you heard, we're already kind of doing some stuff with some German documents. A lot of what we do with Spanish, we have a lot of, I'm a Spanish speaker. So we're able to teach our AI documents in Spanish. We have somebody who speaks Dutch. These same methodologies are used in different languages. A lot of what we do, although something like natural language processing is important, it's not the heavy lifting in what we're doing. A lot of what we're doing is more, vision aspect and computer vision and all kinds of funky neural networks that we have in our discovery processes. So it's actually, I don't want to say that it's unbelievably easy for us to just do Russian documents, but we're going to do it 10 times faster than anybody else because of the way we've structured what we've written.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks, Sergio. So yeah, if you're on the call today and you're calling in from another country, please know that we'd love to take a look at your documents and help show that live demo to see if we can solve the problems that you have. Okay, last question. I think this will really summarize the purpose of today's call. So again, thinking that we want to introduce Tackle Vision as a replacement to traditional OCR. Most of the time, people judge OCR off of accuracy, right? How accurate the data is going to be that they're extracting or detecting on that site, on that piece of document. I know you mentioned this at the beginning, but if we could just summarize again, stats around traditional OCR, how accurate that is versus Tackle Vision, what we've seen and what's been deployed so far.
Yeah, it's an awesome question because there's a difference. I think I spoke about it a little bit where accuracy for us is insanely high. I don't like to say, hey, we're 99.9% accurate with a bunch of what we do, but the truth is we are. Because so the way I like to describe it to people is that we have one client where they even like with stuff like stamps or other extraction of information, we do like 94% of them. The Mocha documents, for example, like we can process 94% of them without any human intervention. Now the question, how many times were we wrong though? Right? Because that other 6% needs to be handed off to a human. But how many times did we say, hey, this is correct, and really it was wrong? And
Right.
those numbers are unbelievably small. Just like Mark and I'm like, just don't be wrong, like just, and that's kind of our thing, right? It's attempt the absurd, solve the impossible, and then don't be wrong. And that's so our accuracy is insanely high. It's a matter of how much of your workload can we do without any humans. So how often does our AI have to spit something out to a human to review? And those are the numbers that I think that are really important. And with a lot of our clients, it's in the mid 90s where there is no human needed. So we're literally getting rid of 94, 95%. And on top of that, for example, I think with some of these Mocha documents out of like, I don't know, what was it, 40,000 data points, and we manually had to go in and check, I think we made 6 errors. So like that's the sort of accuracy we're bringing, and compare us to a human, right? And what we caught in those same 40,000, how many errors a human had made, it was in the hundreds.
Wow. Well, that's great, guys. So thank you. Thank you again for just having the interaction, for showing Tackle Vision. I know the world's excited to see it. And as you said, Sergio, this is already deployed. Several of our clients are already using Tackle Vision, with the growth of having it deployed across all of our clients in several months here. So really excited about that.
Cool.
As a reminder,
Brett, real quick, they're using us without that front end that we tried showing today. So
that's right.
No, normally it's just text being sent back and forth and us giving answers. So we'll work on making it prettier for everybody.
It'll be much
Good
prettier
reminder
for you next time.
Good reminder, but pretty doesn't matter as long as it works and it's accurate, right? So good. Well, just as a reminder to everybody, this webinar has been recorded, so you will see the full version online if you'd like to review it. If you missed something or you want to hear something that Mark or Sergio said, again, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate everyone's time. And from Tackle AI, I want to thank you and have a great day.
We are Tackle AI, and we're the logical solution.